Welcome to Meaningful Mondays with the Community Foundation of Middlesex County, where we only know good people who do great things in our community. Whether you are a volunteer, a donor, or a nonprofit organization, each episode of Meaningful Mondays will celebrate you, our friends and neighbors who have a deep passion for and commitment to improving the quality of life for all in Middlesex County. So let's kick off the week with great conversations with remarkable people, businesses, and nonprofits making a difference right in our own backyard. Well, it's Monday morning, a meaningful Monday, and we love Middlesex County, and we love to introduce people to meaningful people. And it's my pleasure to have Damion Grasso, who is the founder and director of Connecticut Youth Excellence Project. And Damion, I have to tell you, every time we tell folks about what you do, they are so impressed. You do the deep dive to help our young people, and we're so appreciative. So I'm going to turn it over to you really with my opening question in how did you get interested in this? How did it all get started? It is your turn to brag and give us the history of the Connecticut Youth Excellence Project and a little bit of background about yourself too.
Well, thanks, Cynthia. It's a pleasure to be here, and I owe a lot of gratitude to the Community Foundation Middlesex County for supporting this project for so many years. And it's great to talk a little bit about it today. So the question, how did this start? Well, it was 2013 when I started thinking the idea up. At the time, I was newly a faculty member here at UConn, transitioned from being a postdoc into psychiatry, and I had two young daughters. And it wasn't because I had a lot of time on my hands. It was really because I had always done volunteer work with the community or some work with youth who have faced adversity or loss or trauma. And I wanted to do something again where I could build something and give back to these kids and work with these kids. And I guess my passion for that work started even as far back as when I was an undergraduate college student at Skidmore. When I signed up to be a mentor for the Saratoga mentoring program. So I was a freshman. I was, busy with studies. I was rowing, and I started volunteering for the mentoring program, and I was matched with two, I think 11 and 12-year-old kids, and so I'd meet with them on a weekly basis, and we'd mainly go out and do outdoor stuff because that was my something I really enjoyed doing, and so we'd go up to the Adirondacks and do some hiking, paddling, and camping, and all sorts of things, and really kind of grew close with these kids over the years. I did it throughout my 4 years of college, and it's been 25 plus years since then, and I'm still in touch with these guys, and they're adults. One of them actually lives in Connecticut, and I saw him and his family and his kids maybe a couple of months ago, and we're due to go camping soon, and sometime this summer.
So let me stop you right there, though. So 25 years of being connected to your mentees. But I'm sitting here thinking, as a college freshman, you're what, 18, 19? Not very many college freshmen would take that on. So there's got to be something way back before being a college freshman that got you to do that.
Yeah, it's hard to put my finger on that. Like I said, I do, even as a kid, I guess I enjoyed giving back in some way. I was a Boy Scout, and I think maybe just the values that I kind of inherited from my family, from my community, kind of stuck with me when I went away from college, and I think that was the impetus for getting involved in that program, and finding some way of giving back while I was there. But we're really kind of, because I've been able to keep in touch with these kids, it just underscores, and this is the reason that, or one of the main reasons I started the Youth Excellence Project, is to help grow healthy relationships and relationships that can be sustained over time in a natural way. So I met these kids formally through the program, and now still am connected with them, and can be a resource to them if needed, and vice versa. So I think I wanted that for kids who didn't have that opportunity. I've done plenty of work in between my graduate studies, working in a foster care agency and even a residential group home setting, working with kids who've been maltreated, experienced trauma, family violence, who didn't have a lot of family support, and frankly didn't have a lot of outside resources in general. And it was devastating to watch these kids really struggle with mental health difficulties, but also just a lack of connection to family, to mentors, to coaches. And I've watched these kids kind of endure programs where they'd bond with staff, and then the program would end, and they would never, those relationships that were important to them at the time just couldn't continue, whether it's because of logistics or professional boundaries or what have you. And so, I really wanted to build something for kids who've experienced that adversity, who could build these meaningful relationships and keep those relationships over time. And so that was the primary reason for starting the Youth Excellence Project, and the one thing that I really wanted to make sure I did right.
Oh my gosh, Damion, I have so many questions. So I'm going to start with my first one. What differentiates the Connecticut Youth Excellence Program from the other programs that you described? And we all understand that there's only so much that some of the programs can do. But what would you say are the major differentiators? And then help us understand the importance of not only mentoring, but also you love the out of doors and the difference that makes for young people, and especially young people who need that connectedness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, just to start with the outdoors, I just think it's a perfect combination to combine all that nature and the outdoors has to offer us in terms of our physical health and our mental health. And we know that the research is showing that it is helpful in so many ways, with this relationship building, with this mentorship, where youth can really be influenced by healthy role models, both adults and older peers. And so so I thought it was the perfect combination of things to really kind of found this program. And what was the next question?
Well, the first question was, what differentiates your program?
Oh.
So I asked a series of questions, sorry. But what differentiates your program? And your program is very immersive. And so describe for everybody what it's like.
Yeah, so I guess let me step back and just say, we meet on a monthly basis starting in January, and so those outings are typically an overnight. So we would leave Saturday morning, go somewhere in Connecticut, either a state park or state forest, and we would engage in some kind of outdoor recreation. So oftentimes we're backpacking to our site. When it's warmer, we might go on a paddling trip. We do some rock climbing, and so a lot of different activities that kids may or may not have been exposed to before. And so during those outings, we combine that element of skill building and kind of helping them kind of step out of their comfort zone and try something new. And we also introduce a challenge, whether that be trying something that they might not have considered or might be a little nervous about, and kind of being able to step into that, what we call the learning zone. But we also introduce and incorporate this time to reflect. And while the Youth Excellence Project isn't a therapy program per se, we sneak in some therapeutic elements, and so we make sure that,
Unbeknownst to anybody.
yeah, don't tell anybody. So we have time where we ask the kids to kind of settle down and to focus a bit, and to kind of reflect on their experience, and kind of think about what they've learned through that experience, and with each other, and also provide some opportunities for them to share a little bit about themselves. Oftentimes, it's the challenge there is being comfortable enough, allowing yourself to feel that vulnerability, and
Right.
to share something that might have been painful in your life. And so those opportunities do help to have conversations that might be therapeutic in a sense, or at least at the very least kind of supportive and validating for these kids.
So if you start out in January, and again, I'll ask another question to go back, because the more you talk, the more I want to go back and get all of the meaningful details, and every detail is meaningful. How do you find these young folks to participate in the program? And is it difficult to do so? And are they normally reluctant to join in a program like this?
Mm. Yeah, well, it's not difficult to find them anymore. When I first
Now that's
started,
sad.
well, not different in terms of people know about the
Oh,
program and are good
okay,
about referring the kids.
okay.
That was the key. And so early on in the first couple of years, it was really kind of growing awareness of the program, that we exist, that the program is free, and that you can get kids involved. And so I'd reach out to DCF caseworkers, to community providers, and actually the first couple of years of the program were strictly for kids in foster care. Since then, I've expanded to include really any youth who might benefit. So kids in foster care, kids adopted from foster care, kids living with birth family or with relatives, and maybe struggling for whatever reason, either because of the experiences they've had or because of mental health challenges. And so over the years, this is our 11th year now. There's a good number of people who know about the program, and so I'm constantly getting some questions about and referrals to consider, taking youth on. So I don't have to do any outreach.
Is it an individualized program? So if a young person comes in January and makes tremendous progress, they cycle out of the program, or is there a set program for everyone?
So I think of the program as being a year long. However, there's always the opportunity for youth to continue in the program. That kind of aligns with my initial goal of growing relationships that can last, and that's kind of key, because those kids who do return and stick with us for more than a year, maybe 2, maybe 3, are more likely to stay in touch, and to utilize me and other leaders as resources when they need to.
So for those who are watching and or listening to this, it's a monthly program. You meet once a month, but you also do something extraordinary with your trips. Tell us about those.
Yeah, so we have those monthly outings, and that really is our opportunity to grow the group cohesion and learn the skills. And these monthlies culminate in an extended day trip that we take in the summertime, and that's really where the magic happens. That's where everything kind of comes together, and often where we have our most meaningful reflection time. It's a time when the youth and the adult leaders really are comfortable with each other, and have established that trust. And so we typically go out of state for this longer trip. Last summer, we went to the Bigelow Mountain Range and Flagstaff Lake area in Eustis, Maine. So that was up near the Canadian border. and we did 4 days of backpacking the Bigelow Mountain Range. This, by the way, was the time when Vermont flooded and we had all that rain. So we had
Oh,
natural challenge for those kids.
I was going to say, well, that's a little mudslinging, if you will.
It was, and it was like climbing up a river in
Oh my
some cases
gosh.
with that water. And then the sun broke out on the fourth day,
Oh,
and we
perfect.
transitioned to canoes, and we actually paddled back the way we came, and were able to look up at the mountain range that we just climbed the other day. So really great experience, beautiful, beautiful nature. And one thing I think that's important to mention is this is an opportunity, the monthlies as well, but especially that week-long trip, it's an opportunity for all of us really to unplug. We don't allow the kids to have mobile phones or electronic devices. And so really to unplug and be present and to really appreciate their surroundings and the people that they're with. And that's important too. Just to mention, one of the things that we do on these trips is we do try to encourage each of these kids to grow in a certain way. And they all may need something a little different, but a common theme for these kids is many of them have experienced, maltreatment or trauma, and have unhealthy thoughts, have memories that are distressing and painful that they want to avoid, they want to push out. And we all know, or many of us know, that the more you try to push those memories out or those thoughts out without dealing with them, the harder they come back sometimes. And so by unplugging, what happens is you do have opportunities for kids, to have to address and face those thoughts and those memories as they pop up. That can be distressing, but it can be a chance for them to kind of work through that with the right support. And so that's something I see a lot, actually, of the kids that go out with us, and oftentimes they do require some one-on-one time with me or another leader to kind of help them through that. But it's a growing experience, and something that, as a psychologist and somebody who does office-based therapy, it's something that we sometimes never get to in that context, but have the opportunity to do so in this outdoor setting where we're supportive and they're unplugged and they feel safe enough that they can go there with us.
Well, all the key words, Damion, are there. They feel safe. You're building trust. You're building the relationship. And just that alone is going to see them through, and resilience is going to see the young people through an awful lot. Have you mentioned the fact that 25 years ago, when you started mentoring folks, you still stay in touch with those folks that you started with? I bet that's wonderful, and there have been many aha moments that you have reflected on. So I'll ask about those original mentees, if you will. And then I'm sure there are many memorable moments, but are there any truly aha moments where you just went, oh my gosh, this is really working? Because, to the lay person, I sit there and go, yep, okay, I know he's a really good guy. I know he's got a lot of degrees. I know nature is really important and I know what he's doing, but we wouldn't be able to see the aha moments that you do. So can you help us share some of those with us?
Yeah. So, I mentioned how I keep in touch with the two mentees I had in Saratoga, but it's also true that I've kept in touch with most of the kids who've come through the Youth Excellence Project. And I think the best evidence of our success is that these young adults now, they do stay in touch. They reach out. They use me or others as a resource. I've had youth who've become young fathers call me up and ask for advice. Not sure what I'm doing here. I've had a young man I'm working with or helping now who went away to the military, had a bad experience, and is really struggling now. Back in Connecticut, and so I'm providing him support. I've had other youth reach out for various reasons. Sometimes it's to to seek help for an issue. Sometimes it's just to connect and say, hey, I missed the program, can I come back and help out? So I've had a handful of youth come back and be leaders to the current youth in my program. So when I'm writing small grants or reports for funders, I always include the quantitative evidence. We've seen some change here on these measures, or we've had this many youth participate. But really, the evidence of success is that way after these kids participate in the program, something sticks with them. These relationships are sustained, and they feel comfortable enough to ask for help when they need it. And it's that, it's those connections that keep me busy, but in a good way, that really kind of continue to fuel me to do this program.
Continue to move forward. And shameless plug for you and for all of our nonprofits. We do live in a world of gray. Numbers are important, statistics are important, but it's that aha moment or the phone call that you get from someone that you helped maybe 2 years ago that you cannot measure, you cannot predict. So thank you for that. So again, pardon me, as a lay person, I understand the value of mentoring and we hear a lot about it, but some of us may be afraid to reach out and to start down that path. What advice would you have for those of us who maybe want to give back and are afraid? That's number one. I ask a series of questions, Damion, so sorry. You can answer in reverse. And then what advice would you have for anyone about encouraging our youth? Because I think we all come in touch with the youth and may not know, there may be some little things that we should be doing when we meet someone that may just need a hug, which you're not supposed to do, but a verbal hug, some little clues for us to make somebody's life a little bit better every day.
Yeah. Well, let me start with the mentoring aspect of it. I think some people may not realize all that they have to contribute to that kind of relationship, and so my advice for them would be to overcome that and know that you have something special to offer, and sometimes it's just kind of putting themselves out there and getting connected and
just being there to listen to somebody.
To listen to them and to offer what you have in terms of the relationship. Mentoring programs work well when matches can be sustained over time. They don't work well when a match fails, and that's one of the detriments of some of the mentoring programs out there, where kids who have already had a lot of loss in their life lose another connection that way. And so that's an important piece of mentoring. With YEP, we have that formal piece where youth come in and we provide that mentorship, but there's also kind of a natural progression to the relationships where the youth can reach out to any one of us at any given time and receive some mentorship. So it's not necessarily just a one-on-one match. It's one to many in some cases. And so as the program continues and as youth kind of rotate out of the program, part of it is up to them how much they want to maintain that relationship over time, and many of them they want to, and so that's kind of the natural progression of it.
What's on your wish list, Damion? So you give of yourself, and you give so much of yourself. So if you could wave a magic wand and offer 3 things that would make your life and your work easier, are there just 3 things, or even if it's just one?
the one big thing, well, I love getting outdoors with these kids. I love prepping for the outings and all of that. I'm a good grant writer because that's what I do here at UConn with my research. But that's the least joyful aspect of it.
Okay, we try to make it
Cobbling together the money.
Foundation.
Well, you all make it easy for me, but yeah, if I could wave that wand and have all the money that I need to run a successful program without worrying about it, then that would be my big wish. But beyond that, another wish would be to kind of grow this programming, maybe inspire other groups to do similar models. I know I've been asked a lot for a girls program like this. I'm not brave enough for a co-ed program, and I can't do another program. And so hopefully somebody
pick up the mantle.
Can pick that up. And actually, I haven't mentioned this, but we fall underneath another small nonprofit, Outside Perspectives Inc. And we formalized that relationship in the past few years. But they are actively working on a solution for a girls program, and so modeled after what I've been able to do with these boys.
That's
so
great.
hopeful for that.
Keep us in the loop on that one, and I guess my last question is, but to put everything into perspective, I always sit and say, what if the nonprofits went away? What would happen to our communities? And I think there could be a dollar amount associated with that, along with the quality of life that the nonprofits help us maintain. I have to say, and I'm not going to ask you this question, but the dollar value of what you do for our young people is massive. And so thank you for that. And I don't know how we would quantify it, but when we review the grants and somebody asks the question, well, it's X number of young people, my response is, think about 10 years later if they didn't get the help. So if that helps in your grant writing, it helped with some of the reviewers on our end. So what's the cost, opportunity loss cost? So right. What are you looking forward to in this coming year?
It's always about learning more about the kids I'm working with and seeing those relationships unfold and watching as the group becomes more comfortable and has the trust to share more about themselves and to kind of put themselves out there and just to see that all come together is really the biggest reward of the program.
Well, I thank you for what you do. Damion, we are in awe of what you do. We appreciate what you do. If we could clone you, we would. If there were a grant to, take your DNA and insert it other places so that we could replicate your program, we would vouch for that. So thank you for what you do. Thanks for your time.
I appreciate it. Like I said, I owe the foundation so much. So thank you.
No, it's absolutely our pleasure. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Meaningful Mondays. At the Community Foundation of Middlesex County, we know that philanthropy matters and philanthropy works. Together we support the arts, education, human services, animal welfare, the environment, heritage enhancements, and so much more by providing services, programs, and grants to our local nonprofits. We invite you to learn more and share your passion with us. Visit us at middlesexcountycf.org or contact us at 860-347-0025. Together we can make great things happen.